In 2026, the biggest threat to retail is not a competitor, it's silence. When a shopper is standing in front of your shelf and cannot find the information they need, they don't complain. They just pull out their phone, find it elsewhere, and leave the store. In our quest of understanding what really impacts retail growth, we conducted a global research study of 5,000 consumers, asking them what they expect from the stores of tomorrow. And it confirms the store of the future is not about robots. It's about shelf awareness, the store's ability to know what the shopper is looking for before they even ask. Good morning, NRF. So I am Kajsa Blixth, CCO at Pricer, and for more than 3 decades, we have helped retailers across the globe with making in-store operations more efficient. But today, we will move beyond operational excellence or operational efficiency to look at superior customer experience as a fundamental survival strategy. And with me today, I have Finn Wikander, the CPO at Pricer, who will share some key insights from our research and comment on anything that we have had together with Rob, who is coming from East of England Co-op, Technology Officer. Rob is a forward-leaning retailer who has been the front runner in implementing smart technology in all of their 125 stores. Rob is here to explain why the modern retailer must do this, not because it's a trend, but because the modern shopper now expects it as a baseline for their loyalty. What's your view on that, Rob?
Well, thank you, Kajsa. It's great to be here. So, our view is that the physical store is not dying, but it must change. We have to evolve. And this only really works when the physical bricks and mortar store becomes connected to digital and becomes what we call a truly endless aisle. Because people don't think in channels, they think in brands. And if the experience doesn't join up, you lose the relevance and the loyalty, and ultimately you lose the customer.
I think the point that you're raising about people thinking in brands and not channels is critical. Because if the digital and physical worlds don't join up, the shopper is the one that feels the friction. Finn, this research that we conducted shows a massive gap between what retailers provide today and what shoppers demand. What were the most interesting, perhaps even counterintuitive findings from that research, according to you?
Yeah, I think let's start with the counterintuitive part, because I think at least I was expecting a lot bigger differences between countries and regions, so geographies, but also differences between demographics than what we saw in the research. So what Gen Zs and what boomers say, for instance. But the differences were actually quite small, and there were quite few. I would argue that the findings we have from the research are pretty universal. What surprised me the most is, I think, just how big the gap is between what the expectations are from the modern consumers and what the typical retailer actually offers today. And let me tell you, expectations are a lot higher. And it's clear, not least from having done a few store visits myself here in New York yesterday, that many retailers, not all by no means, but many retailers have a lot of catching up to do just to get up to par to those expectations. And these are not expectations of tomorrow. This is happening right now. And I think just lastly on the first point, that if I try to summarize the clearest, I don't know, overarching insight from the complete research piece, it is that, as you can see here, 8 out of 10 shoppers are, across all ages, are what we can call ambient shoppers. So these are consumers that they expect no boundary between the physical store and the digital world. So they expect the brick and mortar environments to be just as dynamic and informative and not least accurate as what they experience online. So shoppers still absolutely want to do their shopping in the physical store, even the digital, so to speak, Gen Zs, which might surprise you. But they expect the exact same experience that they have on their phone, which, by the way, of course, they bring to the stores. So for instance, if prices online don't match what they see on the shelf edge, or if the products that the stores say are available are not available, well, then trust is gone, and so would the shopper be. And believe me, shoppers do compare. What really sticks out from the survey was a number that I picked up, is that 78%, so almost 8 out of 10 shoppers, claim that they compare directly at the shelf edge, using their mobile phone, of course. So, and maybe not when they buy their milk and bread, but as soon as the products become a little bit more expensive, then they do compare, absolutely. And we also see that price consciousness has increased a lot the past years. So people across the globe compare much more than what they did traditionally, and are much more attentive to pricing, looking for good deals. So I guess, overall, the ambient shopper is already here, and I think that retail needs to find a way to tackle that. And that's extremely clear from the research findings, and perhaps my biggest takeaway from the whole piece.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me at all, Finn. This is exactly what we've seen in our experiences as well. Our experience is very, very clear. We cannot be an online-only retailer. Our shoppers expect a compelling bricks and mortar store that complements that digital offering. Physical and digital must work together as one joined-up single experience.
Interesting to learn that your findings is matching our research. Another very interesting finding from the research is that 6 out of 10 shoppers need or expect extensive information at the shelf edge. This is particularly true for the Gen Zs. So how do you resonate around that finding, Rob?
So we know that Gen Z, or Gen Z, I'll say, because I'm in New York, are highly digitally fluent, but they're also very, very value aware, because they will shop around and they won't wait if something is out of stock. They'll simply go elsewhere. They're not asking for a digital-only experience. What they want is knowledgeable human support, which is strengthened by really intelligent technology. Because when technology removes the manual work, it allows colleagues to focus less on the tasks and more on the people. And that's what turns that retail interaction into a true relationship.
And I think going back to what you said in the beginning on this question, Kajsa, is that we see from the research that a clear majority of shoppers expect much more information than what they get today, and also what, to be honest, a paper tag can deliver. But what we do see is there are some generational differences in what type of information that they're looking for. So boomers are typically looking for more, traditional hard info like product information or price comparisons and such, etc. Whereas Gen Zs are looking for more, rich information about, it could be sustainability details, could be product passports, could be personal offers that, by the way, Gen Zs like and are very used to, but boomers, not so much. But also inspiration, again, just like they're used to from their online experience. But again, all shoppers clearly state that they want to have this information directly at the shelf edge. They want richer information, right where they make the decisions again. So the experience is like online, but in the physical store. So again, they are ambient shoppers. So I think my key takeaway here is that the modern retailer really needs to develop a good ability to adapt to different needs, I think, and to be able to be more personalized in their communication. So being agile and dynamic and not least immediate in their communication. Otherwise, they will not meet the expectations of not tomorrow's consumers, today's consumers of any generation. And I think, if I may, in a place like this is exactly what our latest innovation that we call Pricer Avenue is all about. It's about communication. So we developed this solution specifically to transform the aisle experience and turn the whole shelf into a communication vehicle. So we're actually launching it right now here at NRF, but we did a pilot already with you guys in your flagship store in the UK, right?
Yeah, that's right. So our Ipswich station store, which is one of our transit stores at a local station, it's already been voted one of IGD's 25 global stores of the future. And we trialled the Pricer Avenue e-cell solution in that store to see how it went. And we were absolutely thrilled that it resonated so strongly with both customers and colleagues alike in a real live operational environment. So getting the opportunity to do that trial live was brilliant for us.
Yeah, and for us as well, of course. But all right, so enough with the product marketing here. But if you're curious to hear more about this, please drop by our booth later. Both me and Rob will be there. Be happy to ask you questions. And I promise you a personal tour if you want it.
I believe that's a date.
At least an invite for a date, I think. So.
If a staggering 70% of shoppers are willing to leave their entire basket behind over one missing item, the stakes for the retailer have never been higher. What is your reflection on that, and how are you using technology, Rob, at East of England Co-op?
So we think that the reality in retail is actually quite simple. An empty shelf breaks trust. Yeah, so you haven't got the product that the customer wants when the customer wants it. They're not going to come back. Now, with a digitized solution like Pricer, the shelves tell the truth in real time. So gaps can trigger an action, a corrective action. Picking of orders is much faster, and markdowns are much more accurate, and again, much quicker. And the result of that is that the labour efficiency improves, the waste reduces, and the problems are often fixed before the customer even notices it, which is a brilliant thing.
This is why we sometimes call the electronic shelf label systems the digital nervous system of the store, because it's no longer about just showing a price. It is about communication to both the shoppers, of course, but also, like you alluded to, Rob, to the store staff, so they know what to do in the store before the customer even noticed it. And the ESL system is the enabler of that communication. So taking all the information that the shopper is hungry for and wants to have at the shelf edge, but also to help the retail staff. And I think making it, I think the trick here is each retailer have all of this information somewhere in their systems, right? But it's all about making it available when it's needed, right at the shelf edge. So, and I think, if you look at it more broadly, end of the day, the ultimate benefit of like the topic of our talk, so of shelf awareness and smart stores, is to have the ability to convert all of which will always be the foundation, I think, the efficiency, and turn that into a memorable and frictionless, not least, shopper experience. So all the technology that retailers like Rob are investing in today, and that suppliers like ourselves are providing, so the labels, the AI behind it, the RFID, the sensors, what have you, is only relevant because they are enablers of just that experience, customer experience. And I think we need to recognize also that delivering a superior customer experience is no longer a nice to have for modern retailers. It is a survival strategy. And I think that, because without it, then people tell us, shoppers, 5,000 shoppers tell us, we will take our business elsewhere, where we do get it. So, and I think that elaborating a little bit on what we mean by customer experience, I think we can look at it from three different main aspects. And the first one that we already touched upon quite a lot is the customer experience of certainty and clarity. Because regardless of which geography you come from, or actually which generation you happen to represent, everyone expresses the need and the want to have clear prices, clear information on products. They want promotions to be transparent and up to date, and not least that everything is the same at the shelf edge, at checkout, but also online, because online is now through the mobile phone in your stores. So all of this need to operate in conjunction. And I think that when you deliver that as a retailer, well, that's when you build the emotional trust with the shoppers and ultimately gain their loyalties. So, and I think we talked about this quite a lot when preparing for this, Rob, just yesterday. And I think that this is really, and I think we agree, that this is a hygiene factor today in any market. And it's not necessarily that shoppers distrust you or think that you are, trying to cheat them. It's just that when with, the online experience that they are used to, they know that prices fluctuate. They know that promotions are sometimes temporary and sometimes vary, right? So, and are time-bound. So they want to know when they're in your stores that this is true. This is the deal I'm going to get. And this is what makes it so important to have that certainty and clarity in all channels as one. So I think it's that simple. They want to know that they get the right deal. So that's the first part on customer experience, certainty and clarity. The second part is around a frictionless simplicity. So this is when we use technology and data to make sure that the shopper journey in your stores are frictionless. It's easy to shop, right? And that, like you said earlier, that the shelves are always full, because if they're not, people step out. And they don't only leave one product, they leave the whole basket. Yeah. So that's the second part. And then we're talking about the third aspect, which is customer experience in terms of inspiration. Of course, when you shop for milk, you don't really need the inspiration with cows, I guess. But for many other products, you're looking for that more information depth and more information about the products and origins and what have you. But I also think it's about realizing that thanks to technology, like you said also earlier, Rob, that when you have an efficient operation in your store, then your store staff can also spend time increasing the customer experience for the shoppers in the store, and make sure that you're more attentive to their needs. You come with recommendations as a personal advisor, and just make sure that they get the support that they want or service that they want. And that's also part of delivering a superior customer experience thanks to technology.
Yeah, and I think that's critical. This isn't about the shiny technology in itself. It's about getting the basics right. So the price has to be right all the time. The shelves have to be full, and the markdowns have to be much more efficient. Because if you remove that drudgery of paper labels that everybody hates, right, it opens the door to far richer shelf edge experiences, such as those available through the Avenue product.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in this, let's call it this new era, or just the time that we're living in, operational excellence will continue to be the foundation. But superior customer experience needs to be the sky or the ultimate goal. And I think, without shelf awareness, without your smart shelves, a store will just be a building with products in it. But with it, well, then you have the opportunity, and if you master the flow from the stockroom to the shelf, and create that endless aisle, well, that's when you have the opportunity to create a brick and mortar store that's more of a destination, that first of all delivers on the expectations that today's customers already have, but ultimately also win their hearts, and I guess for you guys, not least importantly, win their wallets.
Yeah. Thank you. And Rob, we've now heard what the shoppers are saying. You've had this system installed for almost a year now.
Yeah.
How have you seen the results come through, and do you have anything to share from that time?
I think there's two key perspectives from my viewpoint. So I think the first one is colleagues, okay? And colleagues are very important to us as a cooperative retailer. Doing a paper label change is probably the most hated task of the week within our stores. And I was lucky enough back in May of last year to take part in a night shift. I'm not sure if my colleagues thought it was a great idea that I took part, but I helped them to do the installation of our e-cell solution in one particular store overnight. And I saw the impact of that firsthand. I even got a thank you hug from a colleague the next morning because they no longer had to worry about putting out paper labels. So I don't think there's any better endorsement.
That's worth a lot, though.
It is worth a lot, yeah, indeed. And then secondly, there's the commercial benefit, okay? And really, we're all businesses. We need to be able to be commercially aware. And the thing with an e-cell solution like Prices is that it just frees up so much time for colleagues to really focus on what matters. So that return on capital investment comes quite quickly, actually. Now, I'm not going to share the exact numbers here, but we've seen some really, really clear evidence that, the investment that we've made has resulted in significant savings across our store estate. And in addition, of course, the assurance that the on-shelf price is always going to be accurate protects us from any non-compliance penalty as well, which is very, very significant for us as well as a retailer.
Indeed. And I think beyond the financial return, a warm embrace is probably one of the biggest thank yous. Now, let's look at the road ahead, Rob, and what would be your one piece of advice for the retailers in this room who are still relying on paper?
Well, I think, and if you want to come to the booth, we can chat more about this, but my view is there's absolutely no option. You have to digitize your shelves. We live in a world that's shaped by TikTok and ChatGPT, okay? Patience has completely disappeared. It's no longer part of our world. So this real-time shelf insight can help to remove the friction. It protects the trust, and really importantly, it stops that customer from just walking away because they either can't get what they want, or the price is not acceptable to them. So that's the key point for me.
Thank you. And I think the friction that we've heard today is exactly why we are here and what we're here to solve. We've been showing that the endless aisle is a reality. It's a synchronized world where the boundary between online and offline is simply disappearing. And this strategy puts the power of information, value, and choice back where it belongs, in the hands of the shopper. Because when the stores finally listen to the research and builds true shelf awareness, everybody wins. It has been a pleasure, Rob, Finn. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning.